Hi there, it's Richard Brook, Acupuncture and Yoga teacher here, and I'm at the 2013 Sun Moon Dance up in Scotland. So we're in a really beautiful place here. As you can see, we're near a place called Selkirk, and we're on the piece of land that we use for doing the dance on. And for those of you not familiar with the Sun Moon Dance, it's actually a dance that started off, it's come via the Native American tradition. And there's a Native American gentleman by the name of Joseph Rael, beautiful painted arrow, who had the original vision for bringing the dances over to the Western world, and have been held in Britain since the late 90s. And so the dances actually involve dancing from Friday evening through to Monday morning, actually without food and water. So yeah, it sounds pretty full on. And before you do the dance as well, you actually do a sweat lodge. So I'm just going to talk through some of the different aspects of what goes on. So over here we've got the sweat lodge. So sweat lodge, it's a bit like an igloo that you make, and you've got blankets and a big tarpaulin over the top, and it holds the heat inside. What you've got here, you've got a fire pit, and we're lighting a fire, we're heating up these rocks that are here, and then we carry them on through into the sweat lodge itself. So we'll all be sitting inside, maybe there might be up to about 20 of us. So you carry the hot rocks inside there, and then you throw water on them, and you do a little ceremony where you say prayers with different intentions, or different rounds we call it. So you might do between 4 and 7 rounds of different prayers. You might say prayers for yourself, prayers for other people, and also look at the different faculties within yourself. So you might talk a little bit about your mental aspect, your physical aspect, or your emotional aspect. And after each round of prayers, to throw water on the stones, and it kind of symbolises, or it's a little bit of a metaphor for sending those prayers off, I guess, into great spirit. And also, obviously, there's this very strong cleansing aspect to it, kind of whether you like it or not. Sitting in a red hot sweat lodge like that, and the heat, it does actually have the effect of creating a cleansing effect, very strongly. Just been talking about the sweat lodge at the Sun Moon Dance here that I'm at the moment. And now we're going to walk across over to the arbour, which is actually the place where the dance actually takes place. So we do the sweat lodge first, and then we go across here to the arbour, where we'll be dancing from Friday sort of early evening time through to Monday morning. Again, just to remind you, it's you don't eat or drink during the duration of this time. You don't have contact with other people. You don't contact the other dancers. So you're kind of in your own world, really. You go into quite an altered kind of trance state while you're dancing. So what we've got, I've got a tree in the middle. There's a little fire pit here as well. And the way it works is that each dancer picks a spot around the outside. I don't know if you can see that, it's getting a bit dark now, but yeah, around the outside you've got all these different segmented spaces, and there's usually about 6 to 10, maybe 6 to 12 dancers each year who are dancing, and you dance from your little space forwards and backwards to the tree for the duration of the dance. And the way it works is that when the drummers start drumming, so you've got some drummers who are sitting here, and from sunrise to sunset, they get up and drum for different interval periods. So maybe like for an hour or an hour and a half at a time they'll drum, and each time you hear the drum beating you get up from your spot forwards and backwards to the tree. The metaphor with the dance as well is that you're dancing between your space on the edge there, and you dance forwards and backwards to the tree. And it is that actual metaphor of dancing from like where you are now, almost like towards where you want to go, towards spirit, asking for intelligence, asking for things to move you forwards. Then you're taking that back out into your world. So if you imagine that's where you are now as a person, where you are in your life, you're dancing towards your potential, you're dancing towards your destiny, your future, the things you want, the things you want to build, the things you want to let go of. And so you kind of go into this altered state, and I guess the drumming kind of helps to facilitate that as well. The constant kind of repetitive beat. I remember someone telling me once that kind of repetitive beats like that kind of get you into the right side of your brain, which is the less sort of conceptual side and the more creative side. And I suppose you're coupling that together with the fact that you've not eaten or drinking either. Sometimes it can be quite hot and sunny as well. You're dancing and moving, and your body just starts to shed layers, it feels like. I mean, someone once explained it to me, it's almost like because you're not eating or drinking, your body's almost starting to die off, so you can't hold bits of tension Because as your body's starting to die off, you're not going to hold on to things, you know, inevitably. Things will start to loosen up and start to move. So some of my experiences of dancing is that you'll feel quite heavy for a little while and a bit tired. Then all of a sudden, you know, something will release and shift, whether it's some kind of sense of emotion or something physically in your structure will just move. You know, and I guess the continual movement for 3 days as well tends to loosen things up. But yeah, I've had all kinds of experiences during my years of dancing. Sometimes it's, you know, it feels very arduous. You know, I'm not gonna, you know, pretend it doesn't. Then there's been other times, you know, where you kind of go into these really high energy, almost like ecstatic states, and then and it's almost like I'm calling in more and more energy and love for the people who I feel connected to. You know, so sometimes I'll be dancing towards the tree with immense vigour and just sending out well wishes to the people who I know, friends, family, sending out blessings to everyone. And then there's other times, you know, you'll be dancing forwards and backwards to the tree, you know, moving very slowly, step by step, and maybe calling for help for yourself, you know, calling for support in your life, calling for, you know, whatever it is you think you need, really. And it's the kind of dance between those two places. And I guess that's what kind of makes life, really, is that if you get too stuck in the sort of arduous slog of things and it stays like that, it sucks. You know, so you kind of got to dance between those two places. And I've also often heard it described almost like the dance kind of shatters you and then rebuilds you again. And I could really see that, you know, there's a tremendous amount of energetic shifting about that occurs in you. Progressively, obviously, because you've not been eating or drinking, you go into more and more of a kind of trance state while you're dancing. And there's this really interesting thing that happens after sometimes maybe towards Saturday evening, Sunday morning, is that people actually feel compelled to run and hit the tree. Now, I've done 6 of these dances and I've probably hit the tree 4 times, but I certainly remember the first time I ever did the dance. I'd seen people hit the tree the year before, but I was like, you know, is this something that you actually naturally feel drawn to do, or people doing it just because? But sure enough, my very first dance, all of a sudden, I felt like this massive energy just kind of well up in me. And for whatever reason, you just find yourself charging backwards and forwards towards the tree really hard, and almost like you feel like the ultimate sense of release. So you actually run straight into the tree and hit it. And at that point, you kind of then sort of hit the ground, and the dance chief, will come over and just check on you. And it's almost like, you know, they say that you might go off into a kind of vision in space, or I don't usually like the term leave your body, but you're certainly in some kind of state where you're, you know, kind of between places for a little while. And then you have helpers who are called dog soldiers. They'll come on and pick you up and then carry you across and back to your space again, where you might carry on dreaming. And yeah, kind of in that sort of state for a little while. So it's quite an immense experience, really. And I always remember the first time I ever saw someone hit the tree, the very first dance I come to. My good friend John, who's been on some of the other videos connected to this dance, John Wilson, I was just helping out, since I was helping to tend the fire pit, I think. And I was watching John, you know, he got this energy in him, charging backwards towards the tree. And you could feel this massive charge of energy building and building and building and building and building. And then then he actually hit the tree, and it was as if it was almost like lightning struck. It was like he was conducting energy down through the tree and into the earth, and everything went deadly still. So you went from having this sensation of energy building and building and building and building, and all of a sudden, whoosh, you know, complete stillness. And it just really gave me a sense, you know, of like, yeah, of how much energetic, I don't know, like atmosphere and ambience that people can create and situations can create. And who knows, you know, what's kind of going on during that kind of situation, you know, but it's just pretty amazing. And I always notice after a dance, I've just got, you know, this is after that the dance is actually finished, you've got the most ridiculous amount of energy that you feel you've had in years, you know, and you have to be quite judicious sometimes with how you actually use it. You don't want to kind of go out and get too crazy, and you know, but you just feel like you can do anything you want in the whole world, and it's an amazing feeling. And yeah, I feel really privileged to have found this, and I'm really looking forward to trying to, you know, or just sharing it with more people. And as much as like, you know, things are sacred and whatever, and you know, it's also like nowadays we live in a slightly different world, and there's different ways you got to get the message out there. And so I guess I'm doing these recordings to try and get more and more people to connect in with this. So if anyone's interested in this, obviously just get in touch with me, and you know, yeah, I'll tell you all about it. And there's other dances throughout the year. So this is a 3-day one that happens once a year, but there's a couple of 2-day ones that happen. There's an all-night one that happens similarly as well. And so yeah, please give me a call. Thanks.